Your Excellencies, distinguished symposium delegates and guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this ceremony of the third Nobel Laureate Symposium at the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences. My name is Stefan Claesson. I'm the Vice President of this Academy. On my right-hand side, I'm proud to introduce Tarja Halonen, President of the Republic of Finland. And also on my right-hand side is Staffan Normark, the Permanent Secretary of this Academy. On my left, Johan Rockström, Professor of Natural Resource Management at Stockholm Resilience Center at Stockholm University, Chairman of Stockholm Environment Institute, and also Chairman of the Symposium Steering Committee. And Gunilla Carlsson, Minister for International Development Cooperation in Sweden. Please, Gunilla Carlsson, the word is yours.
Thank you. Excellencies, Nobel laureates, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to be here today as Swedish Minister of International Development Cooperation and a member of the United Nations Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon's high-level panel on global sustainability. You are all very welcome here in Stockholm. We are happy to see such a notable group here to deliberate on most important topics, how to move our world onto a sustainable path. It is not a small task, but we all have a shared responsibility to do our utmost. This meeting follows on previous ones held in Potsdam and London, all addressing global sustainability from different starting points. I should also mention the strong Swedish commitment to sustainable development, which goes back a long way, one of the major events being the Stockholm Conference in 1972. We are all delighted that so many of the world's most respected scientists, intellectuals, practitioners, and prominent thinkers could join this discussion on global sustainability. We will benefit immensely from the very broad range of knowledge you, the Nobel laureates, possesses. We are also very happy that many of the members of the United Nations Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon's high-level panel on global sustainability have joined us here today. My colleagues and I have just spent some very interesting days in Finland discussing this topic. Our task is a major undertaking. We all know why and what needs to be done to eradicate poverty, reduce inequality, shift to sustainable consumption and production. But how these challenges should take place and who should carry them out? As we know, innovation often comes from cross-fertilization of ideas from different sides and walks of life. By involving leaders from politics, science and businesses in the discussions, we hope to have a new and creative dialogue that bridges science, policy and business ideas. This will hopefully help us finding ideas on how to take our common effort forward. Finally, I think we have to look forward and not forget about the youth. They have a very special interest in looking ahead, grasping new ideas, and have an ability to adapt to changing realities. They are often drivers of change, as we have seen, for example, in the recent events in North Africa. I'm looking forward to stimulating discussions. So once again, welcome to Stockholm. Thank you all for coming and being here with us today. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends, first of all, on behalf of all the participants of the third Nobel Laureate on Global Sustainability, we're so excited that the high-level panel on global sustainability joins us in what, in fact, is an historic opportunity for science to have a direct and real dialogue with policy on the most defining challenges facing humanity at this time. It is absolutely unique, and we're so grateful. I should also say a little apology. We are testing resilience in real life here. Apparently, the water company has chopped the water pipes to the Academy, which is one way of showing how shocks and surprise, which has been the topic for this symposium, can hit us also in the everyday life. This dialogue that we've had for the third time is not about the planet. It's about the world as we know it. It's about recognizing that science today, despite uncertainties, despite the complexity of the Earth system, and there's so much to learn, has evidence enough to say that we are now in a situation where we have interacting social and ecological drivers from local to global scales playing out at the point that if we do not act in a transformative, positive way, we cannot, as one of the delegates point out, exclude a long nightfall for humanity. The third Nobel Laureate Symposium is a process of dialogue for the positive to find innovations and transformation towards a desirable future within the safe operating space of planetary boundaries. The Crown Princess Victoria started the meeting here, and she pointed out, based on the scientific evidence that we shared with her, that this symposium is a call to Stockholm for Nobel laureates, but it's in fact also a long-distance 9/11 emergency call from the future. It's the future reminding this generation of the dire predicament we're in and the opportunities we actually have and responsibilities. So what are then the key messages in the Stockholm Memorandum, which will now be signed? Well, the first part is just to be clear that we as scientists in this dialogue feel that one key element is to understand the challenges we're facing, and that we are in fact the first generation to have the evidence that we need to act. Even though we've had calls for action for a long time, now we have the empirical evidence that not only climate change, but also many other environmental processes are moving in the wrong direction and influencing and direct connecting to development. Human pressures are challenging the resilience of the planet and, to say, pushing forward inequalities in a world where we're heading towards 9 billion people, as we all know, in a world where 8 of those 9 are born in today poor developing countries, on a track with a right to development, which is very positive. Science makes increasingly clear that we have had a tremendous period of grace over the last 10,000 years, that we've had an enormous opportunity to build our civilizations as we know them during a stable phase of planet Earth, and that we're now potentially in a phase where we're moving out of this stability domain in what one of the Nobel Prize laureates, Paul Crutzen, has defined as a new geological era, the Anthropocene, where we humans are the prime driver of change at the global scale. This is one key message from the symposium because it totally changes the Sustainable Development Agenda. It means that we now have to not only think globally and act locally, we need to both think globally and act globally. We cannot continue on our current path. That is said with a lot of humility from a group of scientists sharing that, of course, there are still uncertainties, but the time is over to hesitate. We don't have the luxury of continued denial, that it would be very risky, but also very beneficial for us to transform towards global sustainability. And there is a clear evidence that this is not about incremental change, that business as usual, tinkering on the margins of our current institutional frameworks will not be enough. We need to experiment and dare to transform into a sustainable future. Now, based on this deeper insight, what we've called a mind shift, we then covered 8 priority areas that we think are calls for more direct, coherent global action. Now, the first one, the first, though, to say conclude in this is, of course, the realization that we now need to move fast ahead, and we cannot wait for deeper value changes or big shifts in how we relate to the planet, because fundamentally this changes our relationship with the planet. We need to operate with emergency solutions within our inadequate institutional frameworks today, supported by long-term structural solutions. We need this dual-track approach. Now, the key priorities, and I'll just very briefly mention them, and I know that for the panel this is not a surprising list at all, that Of course, a top priority is to recognize that now global sustainability is a prerequisite for poverty alleviation, social justice, and growth in a totally interconnected world. And that we need to now realize that these agendas combine. It's so dramatic that we in fact can say today that most likely global sustainability is a prerequisite to achieve the Millennium Development Goals. On climate and energy, this group confirms and supports the continued work towards a safe future below a 2-degree average warming of the global temperature. But the group also reminds that there's very little science to suggest that this is a risk-free future. In fact, that major risks are connected to even that future. But the group also concludes that there are today opportunities to successfully phase out our fossil dependence and invest, if we can, mobilize the major funds, but though not much larger than the subsidies for fossil fuels, into a desired renewable energy future. There's no doubt that there's a need of a new business model to support an efficiency revolution that not, to say, locks us into optimized traps, but that rather is efficiency in the context of flexibility and the ability to adapt. Food was raised as one of the absolute key issues. Food is not only the key to development, it's also the area of a sector that is the largest driver of biodiversity loss on the planet. And here again, the symposium concludes that we have massive amounts of opportunities and empirical evidence that this can be done. A sustainable agricultural revolution can be accomplished, fast-tracked, that gives more productivity and more livelihoods. Moving beyond green growth is the expression from this group that it's not enough just to put green on our current economic model, but rather to deepen our ability to place natural capital right at the center of development. Earth system governance is no doubt needed if we now recognize that planetary boundaries need to be governed at the global scale. Strengthening global governance while supporting cross-scale innovation and institutional strengthening in local, regional, and national contexts. And finally, yes, science has a responsibility. Science has an opportunity not only to understand the diagnostics of the predicament, but of course finding solutions. And that we do very strongly urge for a new social contract between science and society, ramping up transdisciplinary research for solutions, experimentation for innovation, and also the ability to communicate just as we're doing today. So that in a nutshell is what we are handing over to the panel today. Thank you.
Thank you, Johan. Now the time has come for the signing of the memorandum. I will now ask each Nobel laureate to come forward one at a time. And we begin with Peter Eger, who was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry 2003. Werner Arber, the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, 1978. Paul Crutzen, the Nobel Prize in Chemistry, 1995. Peter Doherty, the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, 1996. Murray Gell-Mann, the Nobel Prize in Physics, 1969. Nadine Gordimer, Nobel Prize in Literature, 1991. David Gross, Nobel Prize in Physics, 2004. Peter Grünberg, Nobel Prize in Physics, 2007. Okay. Walter Kohn, Nobel Prize in Chemistry, 1998. Harold Kroto, Nobel Prize in Chemistry, 1996. James Mirrlees, the Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel, 1996. Mario Molina, Nobel Prize in Chemistry, 1995. Douglas North, the Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel, 1993. Douglas Oseroff, the Nobel Prize in Physics, 1996. Carlo Rubbia, Nobel Prize in Physics, 1984. Amartya Sen, the Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel, 1998. And John Salston, Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, 2002. And now, when the memorandum has been signed, it will be handed over from the symposium organization to the United Nations Secretary General High-Level Panel on Global Sustainability. Please, Staffan Normark and Johan Rockström, step forward. And I also would like to ask President Halonen, co-chair of this panel, to step forward.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished participants of the third Nobel Laureate Symposium, distinguished members of the Global Sustainability Panel, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to thank the organizers of the third Nobel Laureate Symposium for inviting the members of the United Nations Global Sustainability Panel to this event. I'm grateful for this opportunity to say a few remarks as a co-chair of the panel, and especially I thank the symposium for the memorandum which was just handed to us. It is important to have scientifically solid assessment of the state of our planet as well as recommendations for the future. And what I already know, the very bold recommendations. So the memorandum is an important contribution. Our panel completed yesterday its third meeting in Helsinki. The presence of about half of the membership of the panel, plus some other persons helping us, I think it reflects the appreciation we give to this symposium and to the Stockholm Memorandum. The mandate of the UN panel is really very ambitious. Our mandate contains many issues that you have addressed at your symposium: new development paradigm, green economy, and the governance appear both in our mandate and in the memorandum of the symposium. Challenges are many, and they are global. Since they are global, we need global responses, as you say. You say also, humanity stands at a defining moment in Earth's history. The Global Sustainability Panel will do its best to seize this moment. The present situation of the world has been caused by us. The challenges are also reflected in the life of everyone and in all levels. Its work, the panel considers all these aspects. The panel is working to reach balance between economic, environmental, and social pillars of sustainable development. I call it a modern trinity. Balance requires giving more emphasis to the social pillar in order to reduce inequality and to enhance social justice. Empowerment of women is crucial in building sustainable development. I was very happy and surprised to notice that also in your memorandum. And we, of course, need more, already the green economy and all of that. And everyone needs a decent job for to live. In our Helsinki meeting, we discussed which issues should have a prominent place in our report. It is too early to present any comprehensive list, and perhaps I'm not even allowed to do that. But I would like to raise one of the issues where we share interest very strongly with you. The Millennium Development Goals proved to be a useful tool in improving human well-being. So we have been discussing whether post-2015 sustainability goals could spell out the long-term vision of the panel. The discussion on suitable indicators has also been going already on for some time. Another issue I would like to raise is, which could interest you, that is the need to engage effectively non-governmental stakeholders to the implementation of sustainable development. As you say in your memorandum, a new mindset is needed. Attitudes have to change. Here, civil society and business community can do much more, not only the governments. The scientific community has played a crucial role already, and it will be needed in this process. Here in Stockholm, you have shown that the scientific community is ready to cooperate, which we warmly welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, when we came in, I said that I feel excitement. I feel excitement because I'm so eager to meet you. And I feel excitement because I feel so much respect to you. And I'm sure all the members of the panel, they share my feelings. But the surprise was that some of you said that you are also waiting for this meeting. So let's start. Thank you.